Howdy folks, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am your host, the Mighty Bjorn, and you're probably wondering what you are looking at. Well, this is a game pretty much early alpha called Gunner Heat PC. I have recently talked to the lead developer and have set things up to do content for Gunner Heat PC, and I'm going to show a little bit of the Patreon copy here. Now, there's a free public demo, which is I'm going to be honest, it's quite awful, but it's also quite old, and it's actually not the current per se copy. It's not the most current copy of the game, and at that time it was still extremely early stage, and the game is actually still very early stage. But let me show some footage here, and I will talk a little bit about Gunner Heat PC, or at least what I'm doing and what I'm showing. And right now, I am just driving around, and I'm pretty well just looking out the commander's hatch of the vehicle. This is what it would look like from the commander's hatch without binoculars or anything, but a lot of that hasn't been implemented yet. And understand, even though this copy looks extremely good, and it's a bit well more refined than the I don't even know if I'd call it an alpha build, but it was more or less a demo for a proof of concept. This is getting a little bit closer to an alpha, and they're still working on it, and they're going to be doing a major update soon. Not exactly sure when, of Gunner Heat PC. So what you're seeing here is the gunnery sight of the M60A3. This is one of the few American tanks implemented in the game, and there's not a whole lot of tanks implemented into the game. So right now I'm trying to zero in, which I do have a little bit of problem with, and I actually have said something to the lead developer on how to make, or a recommendation on making that a little bit better, a little bit more responsive, which he's probably already ahead of me on that whole scenario. But I've been sending little snippets and recommendations when I can. And honestly, the graphics to me, they're not spectacular, but they're not bad either. I would say at worst case scenario, you could say they're dated. They're a little bit better than World of Tanks pre 1.0, but they're not absolutely disgusting. They're very functional. In many respects, I feel it's better. The graphics are generally better than some of the video games out there, especially when you're trying to render in roughly about 4 kilometers of range. Now, right now, as you can see, I am engaging these T-55s at almost 1,800 meters. That's the kind of range action you really don't get in a lot of games. And this is actually a more realistic, in my experience, combat range action that you're going to get inside of a tank. Now I'm trying to zero in on the steel plate, and right now what you're seeing me fire is the Sabo ammunition in the M58 gun. Now what I'm doing is I'm actually showing you a mode that you can actually look at the flight trajectory of your shells, which I want to back it up here to my M60A3, and then I'm going to go back down the flight path. Now I don't have the X-ray mode on. Now this gets really interesting when I turn the X-ray mode on. And what you see there, all those little yellow lines, is actually the spalling from the penetration and the round itself. Now you don't see anything else in there. These have not been modeled with the internal stuff, even though the internal stuff can be per se hit. More or less the game reads that something can be hit there. But the internal stuff like the ammo racks, the crew positions, etc. have not been modeled into the game. Now, there's some other things that haven't been modeled into the game as well. As I said, as an understanding point, this game is I would say this is probably closer to an alpha build, giving you a better idea of what they are trying to achieve. And essentially, to me, what they are trying to achieve is a game that is closer to a simulator than World of Tanks and War Thunder and Armored Warfare, but not so sim as Steel Beast or even Arma if you've played those games, although Arma's a bit more arcadey than you would think. But anyway, folks, that's just me screwing around on the tank range and just showing a little bit about Gunner Heat PC. I will try and roll out a little bit more content showing more and more of the demo as time goes on, but there's not really a whole lot to show. Once again, as I said, this is pretty early stuff and pretty ground floor kind of stuff, and they're just trying to develop the game, but it takes a while. It's a small team of only a few guys, but I see a lot of promise in this game, guys. This game looks like it could be light years ahead of the competition. But anyway, folks, thank you very much for watching the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you did like the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, as I want to put out more content for Gunner Heat PC. I'm also going to put a link in the video description for their website, which also at their website you can get the pre-alpha demo, as well as you can go check out their Patreon. Anyway, folks, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and have yourself a wonderful week.